Episode 11. And we squeeze a screen to the tear. Best result would be both fold. This is already bad. Bad flop. I'm just gonna check him up here. We have just nothing going on other than two overcards that are completely useless against the UTG squeeze flat range. On a monotone board especially. It would obviously be different if there was a diamond on the flop. It would greatly improve my odds. That's just flat this time. Obviously can't fold to a min 3-bet here. And that sucks, he completely outplays us with this stupid strategy. I'm gonna overfold here. He's potting the flop multi-way. Do you think he's gonna check the turn and check the river? Do you think he's gonna, like, yeah, just fold, like... It's really not needed to play those spots. Just wait for the set and he's gonna stack off, and you get his entire stack every time if you have 2 pair plus. Having, like, playing spots where you already know you're gonna fold the river or turn if they double barrel you. Or triple barrel you. And you already know that it's gonna happen a lot of the time. Why not just fold the flop already? Wow, this is actually... I'm gonna jam here. Hope he doesn't have a pair. But he does. And yeah, but you can see why I jam there. It's that if he does have a pair, then we have 40% equity, and if he doesn't have a pair, we are ahead, but we're only marginally ahead with ace high, so I want to protect in the cases he doesn't have a pair. But we get unlucky. I mean, there's also a chance he folds something like this. I mean, for example, if he has pocket sevens, maybe he folds it. I think it's probably not if he decides to flat call the squeeze with a pair and then flops on like this. He's probably not folding a pair. But that's not the reason I jam. It's that, yeah, it's just how equity is interacting, and I don't want to play a check call line here and this with those weird SPRs and stuff. Just get it in. Protect hardcore against 2 life cards. Yeah, we want to be betting here. And we could go for thin value. If we think he's bluff catching a 10x here or jacks. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, I misclicked. It doesn't really matter because I think the EV is very similar. The only thing is that if I check and he decides to bet that it can sometimes be tricky, especially if he jams. At this time we had the same hand, so it doesn't matter. And his float on the flop doesn't make any sense. I mean, it makes sense because I bet so small, but on this specific board, it's just, yeah, my betting range is really strong. I can't bet for value. This is one of those spots where I think if he has a queen he would be betting already, so I think we are ahead. But that doesn't mean we always have to value bet just because we think we are ahead. If he never calls worse, then yeah, just check. Checking turn here is also fine, and I would do it pretty frequently. It's just that with that combination I don't want to do it. I basically want to do it with stuff that blocks his passively played draws from outdrawing me. So ace-x with a flush draw, for example. Basically hands that can't triple barrel for value, but at the same time block my opponent from outdrawing me, so that I maximally exploit their tendency to play too passive with draws. If you play against a population that plays their draws very aggressively, then now you want to play kind of exactly the opposite slow playing strategy, where you want to be slow playing the hands that don't block draws, and you want to be fast playing the hands that do block the draws. And that's also something that you will see with solvers, because solvers do play draws aggressively. So yeah, that's something where the tendency of an actual human is just, or an unexperienced poker playing human is just 100%. 180 degrees different to what poker theory suggests. And so to exploit that, you also have to play exactly the opposite strategy. Gonna raise here. That was a mistake fold. It's so weird to see this bet. But we gotta call one more time. Oh, now we have a really awkward situation. I need to think about this hand. So his range is gonna be a bunch of missed flush draws and bad pairs. If he has something like a jack, I think he checks back the river. I'm actually gonna donk jam here. I think it's the only way to get hero gods or value from hands that, yeah, I just don't get value from if he checks. And if he has a set or whatever, then I stack him anyway, then it doesn't matter if I check or bet. Or two pair for that instance. But he insta-folded, so he probably was on that pocket sevens that will just check back the river. This might be minus EV here. I'm not sure though. If I was to guarantee to always get heads up, then obviously it's not minus EV, but because there's, I think, a good chance button will overcall too, or some guy will squeeze or whatever. That's usually what makes calling and cutoff an MP, especially against under the gun, and especially if they make it big, pretty minus EV, and even with hands like 9s. And you could even argue that especially with a hand like 9s it's bad, because yeah, flops will be over cards very often. That's a weird sizing, I have no idea what that is. We can 3-bet here. I would prefer to be a little bit deeper though. This is so weird, man. It's probably... What the hell could that be? I don't remember his flop sizing. So awkward. But because I think this line is pretty much only wrapping a random Jack X. And he probably already does have the random Jack X here very often, but... Weird hand for sure. And you can see why it's weird, because he bluffs totally random like that. Makes no sense. Yeah, we check fold. It's out of position, you want to be very careful with what you see bet, what you do not see bet, what you check call, what you check raise, etc. It is much more... You are much more free to make silly things in position. Because of having position, out of position, little things can make very big differences. I'm gonna check call here. I don't think he ever calls worse if I bet. And that's it for this episode. Leave a like or dislike. Comment if you want. See you in the next episode. Bye bye.